One of the ways that you know that you're saved is you start being concerned about the salvation and the souls of others. I've seen that so many times when children give their lives to Jesus, one of the first things they do is begin to be concerned about a family member or friends wondering if they know Jesus. Romans chapter 5, verse 5 says, God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. The Holy Spirit of God comes to live in our lives, and He pours out the love of God into our hearts, and it begins to overflow toward others. Recently, I had the privilege of talking to a pastor in the country of Macedonia on a Zoom call. His name was Brother Tony, and Tony told me how he gave his life to Jesus 13 years ago. He said, Brother Glenn, he said, I went to bed one night and I was so depressed over the circumstances of my life. And he said, I cried out to Jesus and I asked Him to save me from my sins, and I gave my life to Him. He said, I went to sleep and slept better that night than I'd slept in years. He said, I woke up the next day and I looked across the room and I saw the curtains in my room, and I thought to myself, I love those curtains. He said, I went into my closet and I thought, I love this closet. He said, I went into the bedroom and I saw my wife laying there and I thought, I love my wife. She's such a beautiful person. I walked into the kitchen and there was my mother-in-law. And he said, I hugged my mother-in-law and I said, I love you. She wondered what had happened to me. He said, I went to work, and he said, I sell mini donuts. And he said, I went to work that day, and he said it was suddenly no longer about the donuts. It was about the people who were buying the donuts. I just wanted them all to know Jesus. He said 2 days later, my wife told me, said, I want what you have. And she gave her life to Jesus. He said every day for the last 13 years, it's been now about loving people and wanting them to know Jesus. And so you see, that's what happens when you give your life to Jesus. The Holy Spirit pours out the love of God into your heart, and it begins to overflow for love for other people. And so one of the ways that you know that you're saved is that you will begin to have a love for other people, and you'll begin to be concerned about their soul and whether they know Jesus.